Hey everybody, welcome to Nomads Nation Podcast, episode 11. And today we're talking about travel hacks. And I thought to myself, if I'm going to do an episode about travel hacks, I need some expert travelers on the pod to talk about some next level hacks. So today I've got two avid travelers. I got JB outside and Klint from the Perfect Bag. And we're going to give you some next level tips, hacks, and tricks. JB, thanks for jumping on the pod, man. How you doing today?
Great, man. Just happy to be here and finally meet you guys. Like I said, I watched all your videos, so it's good to actually have a back and forth conversation versus just me watching the screen.
For sure, yeah. Note for the listeners, JB, Clint, and myself, we all watch each other's videos, and we're in a group chat together on WhatsApp. This is actually our first time connecting, so I'm really stoked about that. And Clint, dude, how you doing today, man?
Couldn't be better, man. Couldn't be better. It's great to meet you all in person or virtually, and excited for our conversation today, talking about something I know we all love, which is travel.
All love, absolutely. And I was talking to you before we started recording, JB. You actually said you're traveling today. That's how travel expert you are. It's actually happening in a few hours for you. Where are you headed?
Yeah, today is so I leave later this afternoon, heading down to New Orleans for about a day and a half, and then I continue on from there. I'm an airline pilot, so I'm never in the same place twice.
Well,
at least normally.
That's a good opportunity then, because I wanted to not that we need extensive travel resumes, but tell me about you, JB. If we're talking travel hacks, how often are you on the road? What are you doing as to why you're on the road so much? You said you're a pilot. Let's double click into that for a second.
Yes. So, in a typical month, 3 to 4 trips, usually 3 to 4 days at a time. And, it's funny, like the role of an airline pilot getting paid by the hour as an hourly employee, like remember those days when you were an hourly employee? The whole goal is to get paid for not flying. Like that's a really, really weird space to be in, but like the name of the game is to log more hours without actually having done them. So
can I
in a
ask,
good month, I'll be home.
What does that mean? Like, how do you log more hours?
What does that mean? It's the American dream.
How do we get involved?
How do I do that? So, like for instance, in July I'll be on reserve, which just means I'm on standby. So I won't have a schedule, and I'll just sit at home, hope to not get called, but they pay. So I'm getting paid a little less than I would had I actually flown, but it's still, good money. So, but if I fly, I'll actually fly, above that number. And so, but like, for instance, like if you're sitting at home on a day off and they call you to fly a trip and you elect to do it, it's typically considered overtime. But they don't pay you straight pay. It's usually time and a half, double pay, whatever it happens to be. So you're trying to log more hours without having actually flown them. And so for another thing is like a 4-day trip will have a lot of long flights. So your block time, your flight time's long, so you're actually working. But in the other trips, you'll have 2 short little trips, but you'll still get paid a minimum daily number. So like for today, I'm flying 1 leg, 1 hour to New Orleans, but I'm getting paid for the whole day, which is 5 hours. So
very cool, dude. I'm so.
It's very, very complicated.
No, it sounds complicated, but like I'm sure with all that travel experience, especially you coming from the actual industry angle, I'm really, really, really excited to hear about just your takes on travel and whatnot. But on that point, like Klint, JB's a pilot, but I know you travel for business a lot, dude. What's your sort of how often are you traveling per year? And
I'm on the road a lot. Yeah, I'm on the road a lot. Really, my travel falls into one of 3 buckets. I'm traveling for work, which is regional work in the U.S., so kind of anything east of the Mississippi usually, occasionally out to the West Coast. A lot of overnights, a lot of 3-day trips, a lot of weekender type situations. And then my other YouTube channel, Not the Perfect Bag, is a travel channel, and it's called The Perfect Walk. And so do a lot of travel channel stuff all over the world, regional stuff to line up with where I'm working, but also international travel. And then I just love to travel. So out and about as much as possible, 5 or 6 weeks a year of international travel. I'm actually leaving Wednesday, France, Switzerland, Belgium for 2 weeks. So get out and about as much as humanly possible. And put those bags to use and explore the world.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Well, yeah, and good call on the bags. We're going to talk about some bag stuff, and I'm going to pick your guys' brain on like airlines and see if you guys do any hacking or anything. But before that, just like for my resume, you know, I think you guys actually kind of out travel me a little bit. I mean, I used to live on the road for a couple years. I did the digital nomad thing for a while, where I was just full time out of a backpack. But now these days, I'm a little more settled down. I'm in Hong Kong, but I'd still say I'm on the road for about 3 to 4 months out of the year. Whether it's traveling to Vietnam to visit backpack factories, or come to the States to visit my family, or traveling in Asia with my wife. So I think between us, we cover a lot of ground. I'd say so.
I'd say
But on
so.
that,
I think
I'd
so.
say,
Yep.
I think so. So we're qualified. That's step one.
Qualified.
Step two, JB. I'm curious. Like, can you like docs? Like, what airline do you work for?
I mean, I do fly for Delta. I mean, I'm in Atlanta based, so that's the big game in town here. So
That checks out.
yeah, makes sense, right? And I do
Now-
my fleet is both international and domestic, but at my seniority, which just means I'm lower where I can't do international as much. So, but I can, and that's why I'm kind of excited for my reserve schedule, because everybody gets sick, and so I'm hoping one of those guys with a nice, sweet Stuttgart 48-hour layover gets sick, and I have to go do that, or Milan, or I mean, we just go everything in Europe from the East Coast, which is pretty cool.
Are you flying my plane to France next week?
No, no. I'll be so next week I already said New Orleans and San Diego. Then I do an LA to JFK and hang out in New York, and then come back the next day. St. Thomas. I mean, this is what's annoying about it, is sometimes you go to really cool places and you don't stay. Like, I'm going to St. Thomas and then I come back to Atlanta. I was like, I wish the airplane would break when I get there. But
Not a terrible break, right? Like, you don't want anybody to get too sick, but you're like,
The coffee maker.
Exactly.
The coffee maker.
Exactly.
well, I mean, are people going to be really that upset if they can't make it out of St. Thomas? I mean,
That's true.
God forbid.
That's an error in your favor for sure.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see.
So
I'll let you know.
So then, does that mean, JB, that means you significantly stick with Delta for your travels? I mean, obviously you do for work, but outside of that scope.
Yeah. So I mean, it's more of it's very, very convenient, because anytime I want to fly, I can fly standby. So that's typically what I do. And
Of course,
even
yeah,
as
the
a
perks
so
of
my,
being a
and my
pilot.
whole my family can all do standby. So we'll go places together. Like, for instance, my wife and daughter are in Arkansas, and they're going to fly back today. And it's like, well, when are we going to fly back? I don't know. When do you want to fly back? Well, when can we fly back? So it's one of these things where the airlines are also getting very efficient at filling seats. I mean, you've seen, oversold situations. When it's oversold, that means that the family of 4 that's trying to go somewhere is like, well, I guess we're not getting on this flight. So you can usually get where you want to go. You just can't get there maybe exactly when you want to go. So you got to be flexible, which is, that's why, in this world, like, I always joked, the last time I checked a bag was 1985, because I just can't. I don't know if I'm going to get on the flight, so you don't check your bag, because you may have to go the next day. So, which is not exactly true. I did check a bag last year, but
Your secret's safe with us. Don't worry. So, JB, it makes sense why you kind of have serious loyalty to Delta. You got some serious perks working for them. But Klint, for how much you travel, are you airline loyal? Are you hopping around? What's sort of the strategy there for you?
Yeah, it's hopping around for me. My wife is Delta loyal, so we've got a lot of Sky Miles that she's built up in her career, and
I like
so
her
we do
already.
take advantage of that. Yep. But I use Skyscanner and Google Flights Explore feature, and just really, because I'm really flexible with when I can travel, it's really just about finding the deals, and I try and find $400 international flights, $300 international flights, and then build the trip out around that. And because I can go anywhere in the world and have a good time and operate my channels, it opens up a lot. And so we actually just pivoted from Greece, which is apparently on fire and 110 degrees and really not in a good place right now, to France with zero notice. If you're flexible in your plans, you can snag a lot of great deals. And There's a lot of cheap flights out there. If you're willing to go maybe a little against the current and go to some place that not everybody's going. In this case, Paris, a month before the Olympics happen.
Smart. Yeah. That's the whole like shoulder season mentality, you know, like you don't want to go to Paris when it's freezing cold necessarily, but try to avoid the height of summer, right? Get on that shoulder season. You can usually kind of get the best of both worlds where it's still pleasant weather, but you're not paying those top season prices. Clint,
right.
on that note then, do you do any like points or miles, Clint, or do you just use like Skyscanner and stuff?
Yeah, I'm enrolled in all of them, but I don't really, I guess for work I use Marriott quite a bit, and so get the Bonvoy points and cash those in when I'm traveling. But in terms of planes, boats, etc., I'm enrolled in all the programs, but never really hit a status to cash in anything important. And honestly, the travel credit cards, I think you can get some incredible deals on and rack up some points and get really crazy with, paying your mortgage with the travel credit card and that kind of stuff, and then immediately paying it off and really rack up some points with those pieces. But the loyalty programs, I think if you're really good at shopping deals, will never really cash out to the same level, but they do deliver on perks. And so if perks are a big deal for you, then certainly I think that's those programs pay off. But I'm not deeply invested in any of them, so that I never pay more for a ticket than I need to just to fuel my perks.
Well, it's really interesting because I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but JB, I'd be curious to hear your perspective. Like, is that what you're seeing? Like, let's just say in Delta, like, is loyalty becoming less and less of a thing, or do you still see it for the business class and the first class? How is that sort of, what's the trajectory on like that right now?
Well, obviously every company wants you to be brand loyal because they want your business. And for what usually translates as like the business traveler, and Delta goes to the big banks in New York City, and they go to all these big companies and they say, hey, these are your flights last year on American. This is their on-time rates. This is what you paid them. Here's our same schedule and our on-time rate. Are you interested? And what they're trying to do is lure you in there for those big corporate clients. And then those corporate individuals, because their company puts them on Delta or whatever it is, and they rack up points for whatever million miler status. When they travel personally, they're using those miles. So, I mean, those people get locked in through their corporation. So that the entrance for the company really is, I think, at the corporate level. For the individual, I think that unless you have that situation for your company or your job, then you're probably doing what Clint's doing, is just, hopping around, getting the best deal. To that effect, like for me, because I don't necessarily worry about the flight aspect, I go all in on a hotel credit card. And I happen to do Marriott as well, because everything that I buy as a family, everything I can possibly go to that card goes to that card, racks up the points, because I don't need to worry about getting there. When I get there, I need a place to stay. And I think I've paid for a hotel room maybe once or twice over the last year or two, because those points are just always available. So it's one night here, 2 nights here, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I just use the points, and sometimes even better hotels. I mean, if I was going to pay, I would go to the outskirts of a city, to the more, the Courtyard Marriott kind of thing. But if I can stay downtown for a good deal on points, and I have it, thank you for your loyalty. So
yep,
thank you very much. Yeah, I'm not loyal to any airlines either, but I'm really big into the hacking and points game. I got like the Chase Sapphire Reserve and the Chase Ink in my business, and it's just, every single expense that I can make sense to put onto those cards, I do. It's a little bit of a dangerous game though, sometimes you start swiping a little bit more than you should, so there's always that fiscal responsibility angle you got to keep in mind. But if you're one of those persons, have you guys ever dived deep into the points and miles world? Because some people go crazy with it. I mean, Clint, have you seen what some of these guys are doing? There's a classic story. There's a classic story of some dude back in the early day who bought $1 million in quarters on his credit card or something, and there's a loophole that he found, and he just brought the quarters right to the bank and deposited it. So some people get wild with it. So Clint, you don't seem like you don't do the credit card hacking too much though?
I don't. And you may notice I've got a spending and discipline problem that I'm well aware of. and so, yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
I hear you. So no, I don't trust myself with. I've got one credit card, and it's also a Chase Travels card, and I use it when I travel, and it's all I use when I travel, and I only use it when I travel. And I do think that there's some people out there who have got the points game completely figured out, and I love that. But that is a rabbit hole that I don't have the time to be good enough at to pay off, because you got to be in the same way that. The lady in front of me at CVS has CVS figured out, and she's getting, $100 worth of laundry detergent for 25 cents. There's ways to master, I think, anything that you go after. But also there's some diminishing returns because your time's worth money too. And what you spend your time on, and what costs you time, I value that more than just about anything.
Yeah. Just to add to that, put a bow on that thought. Like I did that a little bit, moving from card to card, but then, you end up, like you alluded to, Aaron, you just end up with like, well, oh my gosh, I have all these cards with a little amount of money, which if you add it all up is a lot of money. So I try to keep things simple, but what I really like what Klint says is he uses a credit card when he travels or only travel, which is, I think, a security aspect, which people should take advantage of, because if my Marriott card goes away, holy cow. I mean, this has happened once or twice, right? It's probably happened to everybody where it gets hacked. You need a new number. I have now a list of all the places that I have to go to and change the number because it's a pain. So to keep those things separate, to get a separate card for just travel, because that's like the high risk place for either to get the card scammed, skimmed, or lifted off of you, right? When you're on the move in a foreign country. It's just part of the deal.
For sure. Well, on that note, we were talking about like changing travel habits, like what's happening in the industry. We're gonna get to bags eventually, I promise. But like, it's fun to nerd out about travel as well. Like, Klint, you're headed to Europe in a couple weeks. I'll be back in Asia in a few weeks, and the game of like flying, I feel like in Europe and Asia versus the U.S. is still a little bit different, as to where it's getting a lot harder overseas. Like, I mean, even if I'll fly on a premier airline like Cathay Pacific or Qatar Airlines, carry-on bags are getting weighed now. It's not just like, does it fit? It's like, also, does it fit? And now put it on the scale. Oh, it's 15.1 pounds. You got to check that. So that's something that's been really sucking about Asian flights. Like, it started with the low-cost ones, the easy jets. You expect that, But now, like, the big boys are doing it as well. I'm curious, JB, give us some like insider information. Is this going to be happening in the States anytime soon, or is this not in the trajectory for U.S. sort of travel?
Well, you have to remember that I go to work, I fly the airplane, I park it, I come home. So I don't sit in meetings and I get the inside scoop. Yep. However,
you're not in the Delta boardroom.
No, Ed Bastian and I are not good friends. But I can tell you that, like, for like most of the major carriers have like a per person weight, and I don't know what that was, but I can tell you over the last 3 or 4 years they increased that significantly. Now you can insert joke here: is that because Americans are getting bigger, or because they're bringing more things with them? It's kind of probably both, but mostly because of the trajectory of everyone bringing them, everything on the airplane and not checking as much, that they had to increase or to allow, a lot, space for that weight on the airplane. So they are, I would say right now, we're still, trying to make you a fan of Delta Airlines or American United. And so we're taking care of your bags in different ways. I mean, one travel hack is like, every time you go to the gate, any gate, at least for Delta that I've seen, and they're all like, would you like to check your bag free of charge to your destination so you don't have to carry it? Because they would rather get you on the plane faster so we can leave on time, and they're happy to eat that cost putting it down below the airplane. So I don't see them weighing bags, just because right now it depends on what gate you're at. Some gate agents are telling you, hey, you got to consolidate down to 2 bags. That includes all the fanny packs and the satchels or whatever you're carrying. That all counts. And sometimes you don't even hear that. They're not even looking. People are walking on with 4 bags. Are like, is that your like wife's bag or your kid's bag, or is that all you? I mean, it's people are still getting away with bringing a lot of stuff, and because it's not that much of a problem, I don't see us going to like individually weighing bags, because that takes equipment, that takes time away, and like you've already said, that inconveniences the passenger to a level where we'd rather not inconvenience you. We're fine with it right now. So
for sure, yeah. I mean, it's brutal in Asia right now. I mean, like in China, there's like viral videos. These new like outfits are going crazy right now because there's like outfits with like 15, 17 pockets in it. One for your laptop, you know, because they're not weighing people yet. So like they like wear his jacket, and it's like I don't even know. It's like fucking like it's like in like Mary Poppins or something. The dude's got like, but yeah. So this is like what the thing is in Asia. So as you mentioned, JB, as to where like it's just not quite in the culture, the business culture, to do that in America right now, because if you did that, you'd piss off your people and then they're going to go to competitors. But right now, like they're just doing it blanket across the board in Asia, and it's tough out there. But I'm curious, Clint, like for you, like, you know, you travel a lot in the States, you travel a lot internationally, you know, on that sense, A, are you seeing it? And B, do you have a different strategy then, like when you're traveling in, you know, in the US versus traveling internationally?
Yeah. So in the US, as you mentioned, it's just not a big deal. And as long as you're not being unreasonable and aren't, you know, trying to get a 65-liter backpack on as a carry-on, then nobody's going to say a word to you. I think one time in the last decade, I've seen a gate agent be like super hyper into like, you must have to like consolidate down. Like, we're going to stop the line until this person puts their fanny pack inside their backpack.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. What I will say is I get a ton of questions on my channel about this, so I know that people are either they have anxiety about it, or they or a friend or a family member has had an experience where something didn't fit. You know, it's I would say it's inevitable that it happens everywhere. I think, you know, as price wars happen, those who are at the lower end of the spectrum and are selling tickets via primarily sticker shock, like I remember flying to Iceland from Cincinnati for $45. I forget it was a low cost carrier that's not around anymore, and I can't even remember the name. Wow Air or something. I can't remember.
I remember that.
They're no longer with us because their pricing strategy was just
wow.
terrible.
R.I.P.
But it was like $45 ticket to Iceland, and that wouldn't even cover my meal on the flight and, you know, my share of the gas. So
yeah.
It was nickel and dime. And, you know, how do you get around that? Well, number one, you learn to travel efficiently. And if you're comfortable being a bum, and I'm comfortable sleeping in an Airbnb. I'm comfortable renting a room in somebody's house. I'm comfortable. And, you know, the rules are different for a big dude than they are for, you know, a young female, as an example. So you got to be safe and you got to be smart. But if you're willing to not be a luxury traveler, I wear t-shirts and I wear, you know, a pair of jeans, and I have another pair of pants with me, and I can go 2 weeks with a couple of t-shirts and my toiletries. If you can learn to travel light and be okay with it, then you're good. And you were talking about travel hacks. Wear layers when you're traveling. Everything you wear on day one, I mean, you can be ridiculous. Don't put on so many clothes that you're sweating to death. But wear some layers. Wear a jacket, wear a shirt and an overshirt. Wear your heaviest pants so that they don't end up in your backpack. Like, wear some layers, carry what you can carry, and lighten your load a little bit in terms of what ends up in the backpack. But the ultimate travel hack is to, I think, travel in a way that you don't need as much stuff. If you take less with you, you'll have a better time and it'll be less complicated.
I love that, dude. Like, I remember when I first got into one bag travel, I was like, oh, I'm going to do 45 liters for 3 weeks. This is going to be, I'm such a minimalist. And then, and, you know, now I'm at a point where I'm doing a month in the States, and I'm going around from Connecticut to Florida to Georgia to Texas, and I'm on a 22-liter backpack, and that's it. And
wow.
It's a bit of a challenge, I'm not going to lie, but I'm kind of like liking the challenge, just always knowing my bag's going to be with me, and seeing, you know, how far I can really push it. So, Clint, when you said, you know, got it, you know, the clothes that I got, and then, you know, a couple other pairs in the bag, and that's it. I mean, it's totally doable. It's just, I mean, that's my number one hack as well. It's just like,
so you're doing laundry every day?
It's every other day. It's every other day for sure. And I'm getting a hefty amount of ball breaking from my siblings. You're wearing the same shirt again. It's like, I only brought 4, but so I deserve that, I guess. But yeah, it's I mean, once you start getting into that, you realize there's something quite intoxicating and freeing about it, and not like just like in the old school sense, like, yo, one bag travel, like a 50-liter backpack, like you'll cut that down in half, like once it started to go to like the 30-liter range, it started to feel different, so like JB, I mean, like what about on your end though? Like, I mean, let's start transitioning and talking about some bags. Like, I mean, when you're traveling, JB, what's your get up, like what you're bringing along?
Yeah, I go through, you'd think I'd be better at this. I do it every week where I go somewhere, but I spend a lot of time looking at my free time, and I try to fill the bag with stuff that I'm going to use in that free time. Like, for instance, on this trip, I'm going to San Diego, and I'm going to try to jump on a whale watching trip. And
awesome.
You read the details, and they say dress for winter, jackets, pants. Well, in my normal summer kit when I travel, there's just shorts, flip-flops, no jackets. So I was already packed, and now I have to go through and I have to assess. And so my problem is I usually take too much stuff because I'm trying to be, prepared for anything I'm going to do. If I'm going to run or go to the gym 2 to 3 times, if I'm going to try to get on a bike, then you have to bring clothes for that. If it's, what's tough at the shoulder seasons, I spend a lot of time in Florida, but then you'll go to Wisconsin. Okay, well, now I got to put in a warmer coat. And I don't just have the bag packed for anything. Sometimes I do, but I always try to be efficient with what I'm bringing because the bag just is usually overstuffed. I recently since we're talking about bags, I just went from my standard, look at any airline pilot in the airports, 99% of them have the same bag. Big steel handle,
big roller bag
and it's expandable. Well, I've been using mine for 7 years. And so I went with a spinner aluminum. I didn't get the one I wanted because it was $1,500, but I got a cheaper one. Still not really cheap, but anyway, but it's, that's it. There's no expanding, pushing out the sides. It's like, it's got a fixed volume, and I'm traveling with it today for the first time, and I'm really struggling with, I've got to lean on it and get the latches done, which I didn't want to do, but I'm like, well, I got to bring this. This bag I got to review when I'm going, so I got to throw that in there. I mean, it's like, anyway, it's just, I'm now confined. I'm not sure I'm going to like it. I may go back to the old bag, but just confining myself to a fixed amount of space. I also, my sidekick, my backpack that I have with me that sits next to me with all my headset and iPad and everything I need to fly the airplane that I have to bring, is in a smaller bag than I've traditionally brought. So I'm just trying to get more. It got pretty gross about a month ago where I was trying to film too much. I had 3 bags. I had a lot of stuff jammed in there, heavy stuff, different cameras. I'm just like, this is dumb. You end up, because inevitably on day 3 of a 4-day trip, I just look at all this crap and I go, why did I bring all this stuff? I just got to stop. So I'm trying to weed it down to a very small kit, but as you all know, it's challenging. I'm not down to the point where I'm wearing the same T-shirt for 4 days just yet.
No, you don't wear the same T-shirt for 4 days. You bring 2 T-shirts and you rotate them. Okay, that's what.
Well, I mean, it's like the old underwear joke. You got front, back, inside, outside,
inside out.
I mean,
yep.
you got all that.
Absolutely, JB. I am curious though because obviously we run bag review channels and we'll do I'll do the odd suitcase review every now and then, but we're mostly focused on backpacks. But you are talking about airline pilots using the same luggage. Is it usually like a brand or just a style that they're using? And the next question is, why do they use that type and or brand?
So there's maybe 2 or 3 main brands. The number one I would say is a company called Luggage Works. Most people haven't heard of Luggage Works unless they wondering, hey, I'm going to travel like an airline pilot. Look that up. Luggage Works, and they have different ones, but the main thing is that's a heavy steel rail, big, beefy wheels, everything's meant to be thrown around. And if you were I live in my base, so that means I drive to the airport and I fly my trips and I come home. But if you are a commuter, which means you live in, say, Lexington, and you hop on a commuter and you're on a little tiny airplane going to a hub, you're probably getting that thing thrown in the back, getting a lot more handling of that bag. So you want it to be, able to take the abuse of a constant traveler.
And just to clarify, JB, is it like a hard shell like the new suitcase
No.
you have, or is it the soft?
No, it's ballistic nylon. It's got like a steel back, but it's got ballistic, and it's got basically a frame. But the main compartment can expand a little bit depending on how you're packing it. It's got little bags on it. I mean, it's functional, but it's a little bit bigger than a traditional bag. But it's also one of those things. No matter what bag you're in, I've been packing in a set amount of space with the same cubes and the same format. I just kind of do it the same way so I don't forget stuff. And now I'm going to a whole different layout, two big halves, and I'm trying to put stuff in there, and I sit there and stare at it for hours. I go, is that the way I want it? Does it all fit? Does it make sense? I mean, because I have at least one pair of shoes that I pack, sometimes two. I love to pack with like flip-flops for wearing around the hotel or getting, walking around town for short distances. But then I always have to have a pair of running shoes to either go longer walks or to actually go running. And then I have to obviously can't wear those when I'm working. So I usually have at least one pair of shoes, sometimes two. But this time I'm like in this confined amount of space. I'm like, I don't have room for all this stuff because I got to put this packable puffy jacket in there. So I had to take out my Hey Dudes. So
shoes are a really good point because that's one thing that can really make light packing tough. Like my sister, she loves to travel. She's a light traveler, backpacker, but she's like, I need 3 pairs of kicks with me. I need my blue shoes to match. It's like you're gonna need 2 backpacks then. So Klint, like for you when you're traveling, what's the shoe strategy? I assume you're a one shoe traveler kind of a guy.
Yeah, totally. But what John said is really smart too, which is if you're gonna have a second pair of shoes, like get something like Hey Dudes, something that my wife's bringing some collapsible sandals like for hiking, like really get something that you can shrink down. If
pair of flip-flops
we're talking air travel here, but a lot of my travel is car travel and truck travel. And up until this year, I had a rooftop tent on my truck and went all over the U.S. And so the type of travel you're going to do is game changing. Like if you've got a truck and you're just going to strike out into the West, toss 3 duffels in there, bring your hiking boots, bring your whatever you want, and you don't have to worry about it. So there's all kinds of travel, and not everybody has to hop on a plane. When I am traveling internationally or on a plane, I wear Hoka 1-1s, like with the gigantic soles that are like that big. And they're just, I walk for my other channel. I do virtual walks with a gimbal, and I'll go around like a city in Japan and do virtual walks. And so I'm walking for, 30,000 steps. And so I've got to have something that's incredibly comfortable and that isn't going to wear. And so I've got like 30 different pairs of walking shoes, and I burn through them nonstop.
Real fast, Klint, I've never heard of this brand before, Hoka and the 1-1s. You think they're a pretty solid pair of shoes?
Game changing.
Incredible.
Really? Oh, I feel like I'm missing out.
Yeah.
Just super comfortable, or
insanely comfortable. A lot of the other ones there's a lot of companies that are selling soles right now. But Hoka kind of started out the big overbuilt soles. There's On Cloud now. Skechers has like a million different kinds of memory foam situations. The Hoka ones are the best that I've had. I used to run. I don't run anymore. But I walk constantly. And these are the only ones that, no matter what I'm doing or how long I've walked, I just don't feel it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've been on a big Hoka. I think it's Hoka Ones. I think it's
Get out of town. Have I been pronouncing it wrong?
Maybe, but yeah. I mean, take that,
John.
You
it's
can
One
use that.
One.
I think it's
Is it
Hawaiian. I think it's a Hawaiian thing, man. I think. Yeah, but I agree, and I can say that. In fact, I just bought another pair because I had tried to go to like Ultras zero drop shoes, and they messed up my feet. So I'm back to the Hokas, and they are fantastic. You can get the same effect, Aaron, if you just take 2 couch pillows and you put belts around them around your feet and walk around on 2 big pillows, and you'll this is really comfortable. They should make shoes like this. And they have.
but no joke, shoes matter when you're traveling. You're gonna, in most places, I mean, unless you're going to a resort just to lay on your ass and drink margaritas, which is, I would argue, not travel. That's vacation. If you're traveling, then you're gonna walk a lot more. even just around the airport. You're going to walk a lot more than you're used to potentially in your daily life, depending upon what your daily life looks like. But it's no joke. I remember I went to New York last year. It was last year. It was 2 years ago. And I walked, I think, 27,000 step day through Central Park. And I was like from the Brooklyn Bridge to the tip of Central Park. And I wore Hey Dudes. And I felt that for a month and a half afterwards. It just destroyed me. And they're comfortable lounge shoes, but man, terrible idea. I knew better than that. And so, yeah, pick the right shoes and pick something that is going to treat your feet well, even if it isn't your look.
This is somewhere where I got to step up my travel game a little bit. So I try to minimize the shoes as much as possible. I'll throw a pair of flip-flops in the bag, to have, especially when I'm like in Florida or tropical destinations. But I usually just rock a pair of Nike Air Force Ones. Now, the good thing about that is it is one shoe that can do a lot. They're fairly athletic, where if I got to, go to the gym or play some pickleball, it's fine. But if I go to like a business meeting or something, like if I'm in Vietnam, then I kind of look a little bit more in place. Like I'm looking at these Hoka Ones and not quite as business meeting friendly.
No.
But it looks like I got to step up my game a little bit and kind of get more into the shoe world.
Unless you just build a brand around looking like an idiot and being okay with funky colors, then you're all good and you can wear whatever the heck you want at any time and everybody's cool with it.
I mean, they're called Google, Facebook. You work those places. No one's wearing suits, right? They're all on Hokas and Hey Dudes and flip-flops, probably.
That's a good point.
One.
Final answer. So Clint, on that note, we're talking about actual bags. Like, let's get into some nitty gritty with the bags. What are some what are some of your favorite travel bags? I mean, I know I watch your channel, dude. You're constantly rotating through bags and trying new things. But if you got some staples, if someone's listening to this right now and they're new to the carry community or they're new to your YouTube channel, what are some of the staples for you when it comes to airline travel? Airline travel specifically.
So I do like to travel with a travel backpack. I do what is called now 1.5 bag travel. You get your big fat backpack and you get a sling of some kind of crossbody sling that's going to carry your essentials and all your stuff that you want on your body at all times, and you don't want somebody to steal from you, and you just want it within arm's reach. And so, for me, the ideal backpack for travel is around the 28 to 35-ish liter range. Anything smaller than that, and I'm not going to change my underwear and socks enough. And anything bigger than that, and I've brought too much crap. And so, and I'm generally traveling for 9 days. That's my go-to trip length, is getting a week off work and taking both weekends on both sides of it. And that's what I'm usually packing for. And so, I'll give you a couple that I really have enjoyed lately that have been really fun. And then I'll give you my favorite one that I keep coming back to over and over. So I recently did a trip with a bag called the Traveler from a company called Held Closely. And it's a really fun crossbody. And it's made out of ultra material. It's super light. It's incredibly expensive for folks who don't buy bags a lot. They're going to be like sticker shock. But it's really a nice bag for that kind of 1.5 bag. It slings across your front. It's a big, giant kind of semicircle shaped bag. Really like that. A travel backpack that I've really enjoyed lately. Bounce Design Labs put out a travel backpack called the Nexus. I really enjoyed that. Enjoyed using it on my last trip to Japan.
How many liters is it?
That one was like, they said it was 35. It felt a little bit more like 37. It felt a little bit bigger. Liters is a whole nother thing that we can talk about someday.
Like, we're the only people in the world, like the bag reviewers, that would go, it says 35, but it feels like 37. And you can say the same thing about any of these bags. You're like, it said 21, but it's definitely not 21. It's probably 22.7.
Oh my God.
Guilty as charged
but
there.
The one that I really enjoy and that is a great starting point for somebody who's looking at, traveling with a backpack for the first time. It's by an outdoors company called Cotopaxi. And, I may actually be pronouncing that wrong too. Who knows?
You are.
Thank you. Awesome. Alpa is the travel kind of line that they have, ALLPA. And they make those in 3 different sizes, and I've got the 35 liter, and it packs like a suitcase, which is why it's such a fun travel backpack. It unzips halfway across and kind of butterflies open, and then it's got the sections that you would expect in a suitcase. And so wears like a backpack, great sternum strap, nice hip belt, and it's light comparatively to some other bags out there, and it's a good entry point for folks, and relatively inexpensive, and they do run deals around all the times that you would expect an American company to run deals, Black Friday, Christmas, etc. So that's a fun one for folks looking for an entry point into travel bags,
especially if they like colors. And it's funny, like I try to get as many of these brands in my hand as I can, and I think the most requested brand that I get on Nomads Nation that I haven't reviewed yet is Cotopaxi or however the hell it's pronounced.
I'm from Kentucky, so it's Cotopaxi.
Preach, brother, preach. So yeah, I think I've heard so many good things about that brand, about that particular backpack. Not the most expensive, but is it a comfortable wear, Klint? Because for me, like, comfort on a travel backpack is absolutely freaking crucial.
Yeah, it really is. It's a soft shell. Most backpacks are, but this one is like really squishy. It doesn't, have a lot of structure built into it and hard seams and stuff. So it's a very comfortable bag. It's not probably the most comfortable straps of any bag that I've worn for long lengths of time. But if you treat it as a suitcase, and this is why I think you just got to know how you're going to be traveling, because if you're going to be getting from the airport to a taxi or an Uber to a hotel and then staying in that city, you don't even need a backpack. Just get a roller bag. And so it's really thinking about what kind of travel are you doing. And when I travel, I'm not staying in more than one city for more than 2 nights usually, and I'm using a lot of public transportation. And so backpack travel makes a ton of sense for me. And so it's just know what kind of travel you're doing. And but for a lot of folks out there, a travel backpack sounds good, but maybe what you really just need is a roller bag and to drop it at the hotel, and then a smaller bag to walk around cities with.
100% agree. I was never much of a resort traveler, but my wife, she loves them. And we're going on our first resort one time, and I had my backpack. She's like, babe, just put it in a suitcase. I'm like, yeah, but I'm a backpacker. I need my backpack. But you're totally right, Klint. Like, you get there, like, you land, you grab the cab to the resort, and then it's just in your room the whole time. That's a completely different travel experience than going around Japan, right, where you're going to be getting on trains and you're going to be doing public transportation. So the way that your trip is sort of planned and what you're hoping to do should dictate that. But what about on your end, JB? What are some travel bag recommendations, the go-tos you keep going to?
Well, you've watched my channel a bit. What is the number one brand you think I'm going to say?
I believe you might like a GoRuck bag. Would you recommend a GoRuck bag that would work for this?
So that's pretty. So that's like that's the softball, but the second fastball pitch is going to be what's the second one? See,
well, if
is it the Evergoods travel bag?
See, Klint knows.
I know. I watch the channel, man. Big fan.
Aaron's like, is it a Fyro?
Dare to dream. So wait,
not yet.
CTB.
So from the GoRuck side, and I would have posed this question at the beginning a little differently, because we spend a lot of times like, hey, I got this bag, I got to use it, I got to live out of it, this to see if it's awesome. But there's some times where, and this has happened maybe 2 or 3 times, where I had that bag packed out because I had to do a review of it. And I finally was like, no, I'm just going to go with what I want. And then I go back to this one bag, and it's the GR1. The GoRuck GR1. For travel, the 26-liter size is typically my go-to. And I usually fill that up to a point, and then when I exceed the capacity of that 26 liters, then I'll go to a side, a duffel type. The kit bag is nice from GoRuck, and I've had a lot of those. I still have a lot of them. But my current favorite sort of combo is the GR1 26-liter, the Go Wild one, which is my favorite color combo on the planet. If you've seen it, if you haven't, if you're on the podcast, Google this right now. They're hard to get. But then the side bag is the Patagonia Black Hole Duffel, 40 liters. And the reason I like that one, I like anything with the zipper on a duffel that is like a horseshoe that opens up the whole top, the whole flap, so you can kind of see what's in there. But my number one headache with the kit bag is it's one zipper down the middle, and you kind of have to pry into it. And then when you're not prying it open, you're like, what's in there? I already forgot. I'm a fish. 10 seconds later, I don't even know what's in there. But the Patagonia just unzips, the flap opens up, and you just like, cool. I can see all the packing cubes, the shoes, everything's in one place. It stays open. I go about my business. I come back to it. It's still the same setup. So that's what that's my 2-bag combo right now. The Evergood stuff is, a very close second. And what I like about what they've done is the CTB, the Civic Travel Bag, is that they just have a lot of thought through great places for stuff that you're going to need while you're on the go. So the GoRuck ones are great for, I'm going somewhere and I'm probably going to be there. And the Evergoods ones, I think, are a little better at, I'm constantly on the move. I'm here for a day. I'm there for a day. I'm going to be constantly using the stuff in and out of the backpack as I'm on the go. I think they have more pocket options and more like easy to get to compartments compared to the GoRuck stuff.
I think that was just a really great example of what, Clint and I were just talking about too, about how, the type of travel that you do, different bags or suitcases or styles will fit that, just depending on, what you're trying to accomplish. So I think that's pretty cool.
But I stay away from the rolling bags typically at all costs, except for work because I'm bringing so much stuff. And I'm in a uniform and I can't really sweat it up. I can't put my backpack on when I'm in my uniform, so I have to have it kind of all self-contained. The reason I don't like that when I'm personally traveling is I just feel so constrained. Like I would rather walk up the escalator. I would rather hop down the curb, walk across the street, not look for the little ramp to get my suitcase down. I just like I feel a lot more free having stuff on my back versus wheels behind me personally.
Yeah, I'm the same way. On this trip I'm about to go on, it's a big, even though my wife is bringing a roller bag and I'm going to be stopping at the luggage carousel with the family. I'm bringing a backpack because I'm more comfortable with it and I'm used to packing that way. And I'm used to living out of my large backpacks. So large backpack. And this trip I'm bringing an Alpha 19er Chio X as my crossbody.
Awesome. You're talking about 1.5 bag travel, Clint, and I'm all about it. You give me the 30 liter on the back and my 2 liter sling on the front, and I'm in the zone. Those quick things that you want access to are right there. It's super convenient with the sling. The sling is then my day bag for when I actually get to the destination, and then just all the crap that I need is in the back. Right, JB, have you tried the 1.5 bag lifestyle yet? It's intoxicating.
Yeah, no, I haven't really. I've taken a few trips. I've used the Green Room Metro Runner in that mode. I've used the Bellroy and Carryology Chimera. I've used that one in that mode. I've used the Good Works Boogie Bag in that same mode. That's kind of smallish. That's really almost like hip pack, not really cross the chest style. I'm not so much a fan of it, to be honest. I would rather have more capacity of the backpack and duffel. And if I'm just, because I don't ever feel the need to use the sling around town, although I have. I would want, maybe just have a bigger backpack and not have stuff on my chest.
And that's why you got to know yourself, right? And you got to know what you like. And I'm sure y'all get messages all day long, recommend a bag for me. And it's what keeps us in business, right? And our channel's actually working. Is if there was just a bag for everybody, that company would make a cajillion dollars and everybody else would go out of business. Everybody's needs are different and everybody's needs evolve. When I think about what I carried with me traveling 5 years ago, it's a very different list than what I bring with me now. And so, some people need a sling. Some women need a large purse. And some people need a little Lululemon one day thing. And it's what do you actually need? And if you can make that list first, then you can find the bag.
I would say too, just in the sling department, and the reason I don't do a ton of those reviews is because I still feel it's sort of a Asian European thing where people feel comfortable wearing those slings. I see it in the States, but it's not quite as popular here as it is overseas. And believe me, I get the utility of it, and because I've traveled with them, and I know, I can just put a camera a water bottle in my wallet and my phone. Boom, that's all I need. And it's so much more convenient. It's not constraining. It's on my back. I totally get it, and I like to critique how people lay out those things, but for testing them out, sometimes I feel like, man, am I the only one around here that's doing this? Why is that?
No, that's actually, I like this tangent because I'm curious about it. Because, all right, so I'm from the States and I'm here every now and then. But, I'm in Asia most of the year and everyone's wearing slings. It's just, everyone's wearing backpacks as well, right? But everyone's carrying something. And if they don't have a backpack, dudes are wearing slings, they're wearing crossbodies, they're wearing messengers. And the same thing from what I've seen throughout a lot of Asia. Clint, would you say that you've sort of noticed a similar disparity between maybe European and Asian styles versus the U.S. style in regards to slings?
Oh, 10 cajillion%. And it's not just slings, it's bags.
Yeah.
It's those places, specifically Asia and Europe that you mentioned, have life that's built around public transportation. And we in the U.S., for the most part, there are some cities with incredible public transportation, but for the most part, we commute and travel in cars. The U.S. is a big old gigantic dang place. And public transportation to network a country this big is practically impossible now that we've built it up the other way.
Yeah.
So
no going back.
That's I think you get a strong bag culture where you get a strong pedestrian culture and a strong public transportation culture. If everything's just going to get tossed in your trunk anyway, there's not a lot of need to go deep on, creative and expensive and boutique ways to carry things. But that being said, I think, as technology changes, then all of this does change too. And, over the years, tech gets smaller. There's some kind of rule about that. Tech gets smaller and it gets more powerful and it lasts longer. And so I think what the modern EDC changes over time. I'm not talking about, handkerchiefs and pocket knives. I'm talking about, an iPhone, a battery backup. I remember you used to have to carry a battery everywhere you went because your iPhone wouldn't make it through a day. And now that isn't a thing. People used to, I've got a bag, one of my treasured bags, that specifically had a metal carabiner built into the outside of it to strap your headphones into, and you just wrapped your cords around it. And like what cords? Things change so rapidly, and what people carry changes so rapidly. So I think, one of the changes that I anticipate happening over the next 5 to 10 years is as American wardrobes become less and less and less formal, and the lines are blurred between what is work clothing and what is workout clothing and athleisure and what materials are used. I think as pockets go away, I think you'll see more people carrying little belt bags. And companies like Lululemon, which we don't necessarily think of as, serious bag companies, will seriously dominate in that space, and will have huge outsized influence on what people are comfortable with and what people use on a daily basis.
I think it's really interesting. There's a lot to unpack there, but yeah, I agree with the possible trajectory of that. Because I don't have my pulse on the bag culture in the States as much as I do in Asia, but I got younger brothers, and they're really hip, and they try to stay in with what's happening, right? And they're starting to say, "Yo, we're seeing these slings." They know at the backpack channel, they're like, "Why the hell does my brother review backpacks? This is crazy." Because like you said, for them, their truck, their car is their backpack. They don't need an EDC.
Right.
That's your backpack. And even when I come to the States, I'm driving around. I don't need a backpack in the same way that I did before. But they're starting to say, the younger generation, these things are changing. It started with music festivals about a couple years ago. People want nice, cool bags, theft-proof bags that can kind of just carry their stuff. And it started with the music festival scene, and now we're starting to see it in cities like New York and San Fran a bit more. But like you said, Clint, that's a lot because of the lifestyle there, right? They're walking, they're pedestrians, there's public transportation. But I think that as you're saying, it's interesting. There's this sort of intersection between the way that fashion is going and the way that carry can go. I don't know. What do you think about that, JB?
Yeah, I know. The day without pockets. I was kind of blown away by that thought. I'm like, what, really? They're going to make pants without pockets? I can't imagine that. But the utility that I see in a lot of these things is when, and I always say, when the capacity of your pockets exceeds the stuff that you're bringing, you need something else, and so that's usually where those smaller bags come into hand. Normally it's the camera that exceeds it because everything else is so small: phones, wallets, keys, which I don't even carry anymore, AirPods. Everything can fit in my standard 2-pocket setup. But there's a time where, like, when I'm around in a city, that's usually where I end up using the slings or hip packs, is because, again, I've got cameras, that kind of stuff, and I want to bring water, and so you're just, you need to move beyond that. But the last time I was at a music festival was a really long time ago. A concert was just last year, but...
What was the last music festival you went to, JB?
Oh, music festival? Honestly, I don't think I've been to a music festival.
What was the last concert you've been to, JB?
I mean, I saw Dave Matthews last summer.
Nice. Good show?
Oh, yeah. Have you never seen Dave Matthews Band in person? It is an amazing show. They do a great job.
I was never the biggest Dave Matthews fan. My best friend growing up as a kid was obsessed with Dave Matthews, and I saw Dave Matthews this many times, and he saw Dave Matthews like 20 freaking times. So
wow,
it's either you don't listen to Dave Matthews or you're obsessed with Dave Matthews. Are you on the more obsessed side, JB?
There was a period of time for probably about a year where my Sirius XM in my truck was locked on one channel only, and it was the Dave Matthews channel. So I go through those periods of time where I listen to it all the time, but now, like right now, I haven't really listened to it very often because you kind of get burnt out for a while on most things, and so now I'm just kind of bouncing around. So who knows?
Well, we're on that note, Clint. Last concert you've been to?
God, I don't do concerts much.
No?
I don't do sporting events live or concerts much. I'm more of a go in the woods and hike kind of person. The last concert I went to was probably Counting Crows, maybe, or Avett Brothers.
Classic.
Yeah, but it's been a long time. The family goes to concerts without me. There was a Taylor Swift concert recently that I was like, hard pass.
You missed out on the Taylor Swift concert? The Eras tour?
Yep.
It's legendary, dude.
I'm also a 49ers fan, so I think that would be a conflict of interest as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. Best that you stayed home for that one. Best you went on a hike when the family went to the Taylor Swift concert. Well, gentlemen, we're gonna start wrapping this up, but before we do, like, Clint, what's going on in the Perfect Bag? Anything you want to plug? Anything cool coming up soon?
Well, I've got a couple of cool things landing. One of the things that I've been working on for the last year, and when I say I mean not me at all, I mean some dedicated craftsmen in Europe, is Project Patchwork, which is a $1,000 backpack, which is being built in England. And so check out that on the channel. But I just got the final word. That bag is going to be arriving this coming month, and we'll be walking through that. And I'm super excited for a somewhat matchy Paco Lab Samurai that's going to hit at the same time. And then we've got a couple of collaborations coming up that I'm really excited about as well. It's a great chance to bring some new exciting bags into the world, and just partner with some creative folks and give some money back to charity. So excited about all that. And if my Perfect Bag viewers or your viewers are also interested in travel videos, I'm going to be making some great videos in France and Belgium and Switzerland over the next couple of weeks. So they'll roll those out on the Perfect Walk, my other channel.
Hell yeah, dude. And I can't wait to see what those collabs end up looking like. I'm super stoked about that. What about on your end, JB? Anything, what's going on, JB, outside?
So that's kind of a great conversation. It's probably worth a whole nother podcast. I'm in a phase of the channel where I'm just assessing on the pace and the quality of the videos that I'm putting into, and just kind of trying to figure things out. I did a 3-year stretch where I did every Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern time. I had a video on there to drive the drumbeat of the algorithm for the channel. So now I'm at a point where I'm tired of trying to drive the channel growth, and I'm now trying to look at what specifically I'm doing. So I'm really only doing bag reviews that I really, really want to do, because, there's been times where I've had stuff and I've used it and I wasn't that excited about it, but I did a video and it didn't end up being that awesome. So I'm really kind of just sticking to, I wouldn't say meat and potatoes, but like I've got this Evergoods CTB 20 that I just bought that I'm going to review because I love it. And I love what they're doing.
Quick thoughts on the CTB 20?
So if you were a big fan of the CTB 26 but thought it was a little big, then this is awesome.
And that's the review.
I thought
Like
it was
and
6
subscribe.
too much. Would I like this?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I mean, I have it all. I mean, this thing, the Phoenix 2, this is like the best travel one bag setup that I've really loved.
Yeah. It's a good bag.
I've only done this twice where I had a bag, reviewed it, and then loved it, kept it on the wall, and then like in a purge just sold it, and then it was immediately like, Newman,
What have I done?
I got to get it back. And so I bought this
Yeah.
one. And the same thing with that Go Rock Go Wild bag. I did the same thing. But no, it's perfect in terms of an everyday carry 20-liter size. I mean, and I've tried to use the 26-liter for everyday carry, and I was like, I'm carrying too much stuff because I don't, it's a sponge theory. If I have more space, I'll just throw more stuff in there. But it's too much. So this one right now is packed out. In fact, it's right here. It's the 20-liter. It's packed out for all my stuff sitting next to me in the airplane, and it's going to be perfect. So
It's a beautiful thing.
it's, their material choices when they first come out of it are a little, I mean, it's a 420, so I mean, we'll see how it holds up. But honestly, the layout, everything they do, they don't do anything rushed at Evergoods. They really think through it and think through all the use cases. So far, I mean, it's awesome, and I'll be putting that video. In fact, I already filmed it. I just gotta edit it.
Awesome, JB. We're looking forward to that review. Gentlemen, thank you so much for
Aaron,
chatting.
wait.
I'm ready. Go.
Tell us the latest with the backpack and what's going on, and congratulations on the success with it.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, the Kickstarter ended about 2 weeks ago. Raised 3,000% than we thought we were going to, so just freaking blown away by the support of the
So
community.
can you, I mean, without giving real numbers, you just saying 3,000%, or is it literally exceeded your expectations by that much?
It's a good question. It's a complicated answer because so the way that it works on Kickstarter is there's two funding goals. You have your real funding goal, which is if I make less than this, I cannot make this bag because of minimum order quantities at a factory. And then there's the second funding goal, which is the fake funding goal that you set so that you can hit backing as fast as possible, so you get on the Kickstarter algorithm and you hopefully get on the front page of Kickstarter, right? And then so we set at 10,000 USD for our funding goal, but the reality is we needed for the MOQ for the factory, 5 times more than that, right? So once we hit that, though, after a couple hours, we were good to go. And yeah, now Kickstarter, it's crazy because, we got a decent amount of money that we made, and Kickstarter's just holding it right now. So we're still waiting to get the actual funds from Kickstarter. It's been 15 days, I think. It ended on June 8th, so we're at 15 days, and Kickstarter still hasn't transferred the funds over. My factory's hitting me up every day. They're like, "You got any money yet?" Like, we're working on it. So it should hopefully be on our account soon, and then we go to production, and we're going to be just the way that we documented the sampling and the development of the bag, we're going to be documenting the production. So we're going to be going to the factory, showing how a bag is made from the beginning to the end on the assembly line with the sewers. We're actually gearing up for that piece of content already.
That's cool.
Production won't happen until August, so we're trying to get really ahead to prepare and make this the coolest piece of content that we possibly can. So really
I'm
exciting
glad you
stuff.
went for it, man. Took some real balls to go for that, and I'm glad you did.
Thanks, man. It was crazy, but I'm
So,
glad that I got some time to breathe now.
Are you going to keep doing these little videos and podcasting, or are you going to become full-time corporate suit-wearing backpack
magnet?
Yeah, it's tough because when I started this project, Nomads Nation was significantly smaller. We had like 12,000 subscribers, I think, when I announced it. So in the time that I've been building the backpack, Nomads Nation has also grown as well, and our team has grown. We've got a couple full-time members of the team now. So now it's bigger than I thought it was going to be initially, but also now Fyro has done quite well as well. So the goal and challenge that I'll have is sort of juggling these two things, right? Because, as reviewers, we have a sense of trust that we try to implement, right? And if I am pushing my own backpack, that's going to diminish that trust. But at the same time, there are lots of overlaps in this industry, whether it's Belroy owning Carryology or Chase Reeves working with Pact or The Perfect Bag doing a collabs, there's lots of overlaps. So my goal is just to be honest and genuine as possible, because
Yeah.
this game is all about trust. And if people feel like you're just trying to slide your own stuff into there, they're gonna go to a different channel, right? So the thing that I want to focus on right now is just building trust, making amazing content, talking to guys like you, and just doing reviews that are as awesome as possible. And if that ends up in a couple Fyro sales on top of it, cool, you know. But the goal right now is actually to split the two things. So we're gonna have our own Fyro YouTube channel, our own Nomads Nation YouTube channel, and have those moving forward as separate entities as best we can.
Well, I think the transparency there is probably the most appealing part of the project for at least people that are just casually watching and seeing what has gone into it. So I can see your split attention span on those two things, and I think it's super cool. Related to, so I mean, this is kind of our time to ask you questions now, right? You didn't even know this was going to happen. Phase 2.
I love it.
But so how is the marketplace been doing?
Nomads Nation Marketplace is great. I think I just checked, and since launching about 4 months ago, we had about $25,000 in sales. Now that we only make a small little cut of that, and actually, so normally we make 5% as like our creator fee, and I just eliminated that fee for all of summer. So anybody who's listening, I don't make a penny off of any bags that you sell in the Nomads Nation Marketplace. Get your bags on there, get listed. There's no fees for me until September 22nd, because my real goal with the marketplace, like, let's be honest, the 5%, like, it's maybe a couple, like $800 or whatever, a little bit more. But I'm really just want to have my goal with Nomads Nation is to connect this community as much as possible, right? And with Nomads Nation, we're trying to look at as many initiatives that can do that, whether it's the podcast like this, or the newsletter, or the marketplace, just about like raising and elevating this industry as much as possible, because like, I love talking to you dudes, and like a lot of people in an industry don't talk to their competitors because they don't want to give you secrets, or like, I think I want to give you guys all my secrets, because the more I grow, the more you guys grow, the more this entire industry grows. And I just think that we're just hitting the beginning of where this can go. So the marketplace is one of those initiatives for us. It's going really freaking well. People are loving it. It's really cool. If you guys haven't been on the marketplace, it's like eBay meets Discord. So you got all the listings there, but you got all these different channels for different chats. One bag travel, gear for the girls. There's a channel where all the girls are chatting about their favorite gear. So it's a really cool platform. It's powered by a website called District, and it's been really great so far. Have you guys listed any bags for sale on there yet?
I haven't yet, but I need to.
No, I
did.
Shot.
I mean, there's a lot of buyers. There's 2,000 members.
Yeah, they sold somewhere else, so I had to pull them before they sold on the marketplace. But I'm prepping a purge coming soon, so I'll probably look to put some of them on there as well. So
what's cool about it is, like, if you're looking to sell bags, like, I'm also trying to help the sellers out. So like I'm doing postings on YouTube and the newsletter. So it's just I love that people can get their pre-loved bags into somebody else's hands, and somebody else can try new bags out. And it means that everyone can just try different bags. It's really cool. Like, we're seeing like a lot of rotation in the community now. People are just doing trades and stuff. So it's just cool to get bags into people's hands, dude. That's what it's all about.
And ultimately, right, this is an affordable luxury for most people. We're not collecting Ferraris and Lamborghinis here, and so you can afford to try out a new really great bag once or twice a year. And if you get tapped into a marketplace like that, whether it's a Facebook group or a dedicated website like that, it makes it even more approachable. Even like mini baggers on Reddit, there's places you can go and get well cared for used bags and trade yours and keep trying new stuff and having fun with the hobby.
Yeah, between many baggers, Carryology, and the Nomads Nation Marketplace, it's really healthy out there. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of ways to, spend some money on a bag, use it for a couple months, and then, flip it, make a couple bucks, and put it on the next bag, Let it just keep going.
Yep. Cool.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm happy.
This was fun.
I'm happy
Thanks
I
for
can,
having us.
help you plug the marketplace, because that was awesome. Because I wanted to know how that was doing. I have one more question.
Okay, the interview continues. I'm ready.
So between you guys, what is the number one factor for channel growth on YouTube?
Oh, wow.
And this could be a
You
whole
mean
other.
you mean
This could be a whole
you
other
care
podcast.
about the most thing that works?
Well, like what you're,
That's fine.
I'm just talking about subscriber growth because you both have bigger channels than me, and which is fantastic. And kudos to both of you for doing that. But do you think the newsletter is really growing the channel? Do you think the breadth or the depth on the topics? Do you think your other channels helped your primary channel? I mean, just one thing. I mean, again, it could be a whole discussion, but.
Yeah, it could be a massive discussion.
I mean, Clint, because your channel has seen like lightning growth over the past like few months. What's the secret, dude? What's the secret sauce?
Yeah, the secret for me has been a couple of things. The first thing is, I got my jump start from having an established channel. My travel channel was my channel, and so that one went off during COVID when people couldn't travel and they were looking for virtual travel fixes. And so it gave me a jump start. I was able to take my existing base and say, come on over, join me over here. I like talking about bags. The thing that has really fueled my growth, actually, it's been really surprising, is low dollar bags from that you can get on Amazon. And people not trusting Amazon reviews because Amazon reviews are so totally broken. And there's so many people paid to do reviews on that platform. And so many companies doing like really shady stuff. Like you'll look up a bag and it'll say, you like 5 stars, and you'll start reading the reviews and say, I really like this, dish towel, because they've changed the listing, and they're, switching products to a higher dollar product. And there's a lot of people who have gotten products that they've been disappointed in. And so they're looking for places. So TomTalk is a company that has fueled a lot of growth on my channel. Like if you just look at the statistics, in terms of people who subscribe, because they're like $30 to $40 price point sling bags, and they have global appeal. They're a global company. So that's kind of been my secret sauce is I do a lot of reviews and I do a lot of bags that aren't, I would say, purist bags. There's a lot of people who do those bags already and do it better than me. And then I try to keep my reviews almost always identical so that everybody always knows what to get, what they're going to get when they turn on the channel. They know what the intro is going to be. They know what the review is going to be. They know what it's going to be the same thing every time. And once I've landed on what people want, I'm giving them that and listening to what they want too. People wanted an overhead cam for like 6 months before I got an overhead cam, and finally, so it's that kind of thing. But listening, but then a lot of different styles of bags, because search is what drives the growth of my channel.
Cool.
People looking for reviews on particular bags.
Interesting.
Do you think, Clint? Actually, let me just look at my mega sheet real fast, because I actually track all you guys every month, so I know exactly how much you're growing.
And you don't share this information with us?
Hell no, dude. No, I
hope I'm doing good.
You're doing good. No. I just like to keep track of everyone's like metrics and see, where the growth is coming from. Just because then I can see, the perfect bag popped off this month. Like, what can I learn from him? So I think that there's been a correlation, but for your channel, Clint, and this is going to also answer your question, JB, for Nomads Nation. Clear correlation between quantity of videos published and growth. And the more videos that we're able to get out per month, we're definitely seeing a very clear correlation between growth with that. That's why, Pack Hacker Reviews, they did 27 videos last month. They're just cranking, right? And I think that they've realized that, the more videos that they do, it's just going to fuel that growth in that perspective. And their videos are, they're not like a high production quality like we try to do at Nomads Nation. They're not quite a one take either. They're sort of like an in between, I guess. But I would say that was a big thing that we've learned is we were like, oh, let's do less videos at higher quality. But really, I think that quality might be overrated on YouTube a little bit these days. I think that there's something about something a little more raw, which I think is something that you really tapped into there, Clint, where you were just like, yo, dude, I'm going to one bag this, and I'm going to one take this, and I think that really resonates with a lot of people. So that would be my answer.
To some degree, right? I mean, authenticity does sell because we are selling trust. And so, you do have to have some degree of authenticity in the way that you produce. But I also get weekly comments on your microphone sucks, your lighting sucks, your everything sucks.
Yeah.
But you know, you got to be okay with that. But in both my channels, like, I mean, John's a pilot, you know, I have a full-time job. You have to reach pack hacker levels before this can be a job for you. And so you have to streamline your workflow, and you have to make this an achievable thing if you want to keep doing it and not have burnout or not have real conflict with the way you have to show up in other parts of your life.
100%.
Yeah, the other show up in other parts of your life. Like that's a powerful statement that is, you know, a lot of people maybe disregard. But the fact that the matter is, I would identify that a 1 week video, boop, 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 I mean, I know what that slope looks like, and it's been on the same slope, and I'm not seeing a boop. And I'm like, oh, do I need to do a daily shorts? Do I need to like take the videos, chop them up, and put them in shorts, and like and feed the algorithm that way? And that's where I got to the point where I'm like, I'm tired of feeding this machine and trying to fuel, you know, the algorithm. And I'm just like, they basically taking a step back and go, and back to your question, is it more quality or quantity? And I don't necessarily want to keep up with the quantity game right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what your outcome is, you know, what you're trying to accomplish. And, you know, like Klint said, it's the time that you have and the resources you have available. Every resource that we have is limited. We really only have two resources. It's time and money. So it depends on how you're going to spend those things. So, you know, if you ever wanted to outsource any editing, you know, I got some connects. That's one way that we alleviate a lot of the workload. And I don't edit videos, you know. So that's obviously money coming out of your pocket to do that. But, you know, money spent sometimes end up being money earned. So it just depends on that sort of mentality with that.
Cool. No, that's a great, I mean, again, this could have been a whole nother podcast. Just channel.
It could be.
Channel growth
Round
and data.
two. Round two.
All right.
All right. Well, listen, guys, I got to run. So
this was so fun.
So much fun. Everybody who's listening, thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe to The Perfect Bag and to JB Outside. And guys, we'll definitely try to do this again sometime soon, okay?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Great to see you both. Thanks
guys.
for all you do.
Travel safe.
Have a great day.
All right. Bye.